Hey everybody, Tim Higgins here. So we're going to talk about this new awesome product called ApiStrong. We're going to talk about why it's a must-have if you work with any APIs, including if you're interested in doing any kind of threat protection, which, let's be honest, everybody should. So we're going to start with the landing page here. Just go to www.apistrong.com. First thing we're going to talk about is one of the cool benefits that you get straight off the whole project. Trying to think of a good word to use there because it's such an awesome thing. I don't know how to word it anyway. Now, we'll go into this other stuff later, the docs, but if you look here at the view demo, you also have a view demo here. Now, if this button never changes, you should always get it up there because this will take you to a free version of an API tool. Now, what this does, this allows you to test and test your APIs. Now, if you ever used a product like Postmon, it's a lot like it, okay? So if I have this one API, let's see if I still have it open in my little notepad sheet here. I do. So I'm going to grab this API and I'm just going to put it in here. And in the meantime, I'm going to open it up in the browser in the other window just so you can see what it looks like. Now, send. I like using this API because it's a pretty big payload for what it is. It really is just getting a list of people in a table that I created a while back for demonstrations. So with it, this is what it looks like in the browser. So it basically just pulls back some JSON data, right? First name, middle name, whatever, right? Title, just some very basic stuff. Now with that, when I ran it through here, I get my status code 200. Really, really good right away. So if I'm a developer or if somebody calls me up and says, hey, our website is, that we have problems with APIs, well, I can test them right here and say, no, they look pretty good. The payload's big, which is what I expect. My host IP, I even have my absolute URL, and then my start time and end time for this run on top of the message size. Now that's when I said duration, this is duration in milliseconds. This is your size here. Now it's saying that I can click on response and I can see my data that was returned right here. I can beautify this data, which means make it pretty. And then each one of these, I can see the payload. Now, this is my response. On my request, I have the ability to change to some basic authentication, right? So basic, bear token. I shouldn't use the word basic because it is a type, but let's say some of the most common authentications, right? And expect more in the future. I can pass in headers if I want to. And then, of course, I can pass in a body payload. So let's just test this. If I grab this, post this there. I know this is a database call, so I'm going to get rid of that. Basically, it's a unique identifier gets created in the database insert. So let's go ahead and comma after these just to make it correct JSON data. And then here, what I want to do is I think of a guitar. Well, I'm a guitar player. I love guitar. So we'll say David Gilmour. And I'm doing this because I've already used all my family members. Okay, so there we go. Mr. David Gilmour is now going to be in our system. If I go up here and change it, I have my basic REST methods, get, post, put, delete. And again, expect more coming in the future. So if I push this now I have a complete return, which tells me that this insert of my post worked. So if I go over to the raw data, hit refresh, do a find, we should find something on Gilmour, right? Oh, whoa. I'm sorry. I meant to do a find, not add a folder or something like that. So Gilmour, and there he is, Mr. David Gilmour. And if you can tell, this was created today. So that's December the 10th at 2020. Wow, sorry. Ugh. All right, the other benefits you get here is we also have a history of some of our APIs. Now, this will keep a history, but it's very limited of how far it keeps back. The good news is, though, I can come through here and I can click on some. This is one you may hear me talk about later because this is a very good one. This is actually Broadcom's release automation. There's no headers, there's no body, but there is authentication. You don't see it because I'm logged in, but if I click away and come back to it, now you see it. Let me say that. You didn't see it because it was already saved, okay? But I wanted to make sure you could see it. Now, if I come in here and hit send, make sure I'm on a get, I am. This brings me back a list of my applications. So if I beautify this, I can see a list of applications within my Broadcom. The main reason I want to show you this one is just because of this authentication. Now, this is some really good out-of-the-box features for a basic application that can handle REST calls. But what if you need more? Well, that's where ApiStrong comes in at. So we're going to go ahead and log in. Now, I'm going to change from portal to dev because I don't want to do anything in production. right? And now I'm in. Now, with saying that, this is your landing page. We'll kind of talk about this as we go throughout the system, but most of this is pretty common sense. What we want to do is we want to come in here. We want to create a new project. Okay. We'll just say people, right? People data. Okay. Fair enough. Now, then, sorry, I was raising the mic a little bit. I didn't want it too close to the keyboard. So now I've got a project. I want to come in here and create some APIs. Now, you don't have to create the project. If I go look at my projects, we give you a default project, but you want to make the projects arbitrary. They're really just a grouping of APIs. It could be sprints, it could be application, front end, tests, if you're doing test suites, that kind of stuff. So now let's go back to our new API, and we'll go ahead and do the bike shop, not the bike shop, I'm sorry, the people one again. Okay, and then from here, I can hit, let's go ahead and hit save. Now I could test it, but I'm doing this in a pattern for a reason. Okay. The few things that you get that's a little bit different is notice I have my project, and I apologize. I probably should have changed this before I hit saved, because now I'm going to change the name. We'll call it people data. This is a demo of people data, and now I'll go ahead and hit save again, just because I want this information saved. But what I can do now is I can schedule this to run. If I want it to run on certain times, if I want it to run every day, every minute, okay, every hour. But I'm going to turn this off because I don't want it to run. I want to manually do this. But the point is I can schedule this API. Now you're kind of walking into the realms of just viewing your API to a almost pseudo testing, right? Because now every 5 minutes, it's going to hit this API and tell me the status of this API. Okay, let's go ahead and delete this because I just don't want it lingering around. And you'll see more of that shortly. But now that I have this saved, let me save it again just because I removed the API and the schedule, and let's just run it again. Now again, it took less time to run because I just recently ran it. But notice the payload is still fairly big. If I look at my response, I can beautify the response. Okay, it's here. Perfect. And then the other thing that you can do is we have this idea of getting the trace information. Now, if you know anything about how TCP/IP works and how REST calls work, is you're going to bounce through what we call hops. Now, this is going to run through a system, and this could take time. So I may pause. It came back. I was going to say I may pause the video and come back, but I don't have to. It's pretty quick. I've seen some of these hops be about 10 to 20 hops, and with doing that, it took a long time to come back. But with saying that, I can tell this took 2 hops. It went from this PC. It was there for 1 millisecond. This round trip from this one was 1 millisecond. The round trip from this was 1 millisecond. The point is, it was very fast. Okay. But what you would want is this would be your time for this one, and this would be your total time. And in this case, we have 2 hops. But the point is, I can see this API. I can see how many hops it's taking. Okay. That's a good thing for testing. Now, the same thing, header, bodies. I could do the demo where I'm doing the insert that we saw a few minutes ago, but you've already seen that. Threat protection we're going to cover in a few minutes. But what if I want to come in here and set an alert? I want to say, you know what, let me know anytime I get a 501, because I know that's a server error. And send it to my account. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and save that one. So now anytime I get a 501, I'll get an email. But that's not good enough. What if I want this to be global? So anytime my project gets a 501, then I want to know. So we'll call this project people. Okay. And over here, I'm going to pick my project. So we'll get rid of that. And you can have multiple projects. That's the beautiful thing about a policy. But in this case, we're just going to do people. And I want my status code to be a 501. And we're going to contact. Now, granted, you'd put this to a group of something. But in this case, I'm just going to hit submit. Now, I can do multiple. I hit submit too fast, but I can do multiple of those if I wanted to add more alerts. I just did one. So here are my people. I can click on this one for an example. I can add more if I want. Let me know if there's a 404. Page not found. Let me know if there's a 500 server issue. 501 is security issue. And now I'm going to save those. So anytime those are hit, I'm going to get an email. Now, I got that from my API, but you can get it from here as well. Okay. So user management is what it is. I can manage my users, and you'll see some cool things about that here in a few minutes. A global level of threat protection. We'll talk about that. My alert policy is what I just created, but we also have this maintenance mode. What in the world is that, Tim? Well, in maintenance mode, I can add, and it says if we're doing, servers down for Christmas, right? Then in that case, I can say on my project, do not alert me whenever those alerts are fired off. Okay. So that's where that is from. If I click, now we went from new. If I click the APIs, now I can manage my APIs. And the reason I did that is because I saved it and now I can get to my API. The good news is from here, I can edit, delete. If I click edit, it's going to take me back to the same screen that you saw a few minutes ago. Okay. And then from here, I also have my alerts. I also have my maintenance, which we didn't keep any. Let me just hit delete just to be safe. And then, of course, I have my schedules. Now, I'm going to go ahead and delete my alerts as well. And let's see. Let's go ahead and delete this one. Technically, I can do it from here. So if I look at my alert policy, now I can delete it from there. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't want this to fire off events that our developers are using, and they get bogus data, right? They're like, hey, what's going on here? Now, with seeing that, this is back to my people API. Now, we talked about scheduling, we talked about alerts, talked about alarms. The other cool thing is history, and we're going to get to history in a few minutes. Notice this was ran by the ApiStrong, which means I manually ran it. If I look at one of these other ones, and if I go to history, these are on the schedules. Now, this is a 403, pretty intense stuff, but you'll see why in a few minutes. And if I go to here on this user, now keep in mind, we're in a dev environment, right? So in production, you wouldn't want to see this, but here, these is ran through schedule. This is ran through the API itself. Now, when I say API, it was manually fired off. So let's go ahead and jump back to our people. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about threat protection. Now, what is threat protection? Threat protection is the ability to keep militia people or systems or whatever you want to call it from accessing or damaging your systems through your APIs. Okay, so we give you this exposed API. This is what my developers are going to hit or use, I should say. When I put that in, it's kind of lots of blob data, but really this is the data for, say, the last name, first name. This is the data from the people. And then here's the metrics to let me know how it's doing. If I look over here, we're going to talk about these. So if I need to block certain things from going through this API, this is what this is for. For an example, rate limit. If I need to set the maximum requests per second, then I can do that from here. I can also limit each call. Okay. Now, if you don't know what that means, like Tim, I'm not going to remember that. So click this little black icon here and you get the definition of what it is. You get how to test it, which is very important. And if I click here, it actually brings me into the documentation to where I can read more about it. Now, there's going to be videos added to this documentation, so that would help you as well. So let's go ahead and close this one. If I think about time of day, maybe I want to restrict this URL to be ran between a certain time of day, or maybe days of week. We only want to run this through Monday through Friday because we're off on weekends and it's only for development work anyway. IP range, we'll come back to that in a few seconds because I'll give you a demo of that one. Message size. What if I don't want my payload to be too big, right? Maybe my backend can't use it, but more importantly, I don't want hackers sending in massive amounts of data to bog down my systems. Code injection. This one's pretty common sense, and I'm surprised it's not mandatory for everybody. But for an example, please do not put PHP or shell or JavaScript inside the body that you're sending through this JSON, or the JSON body that you're sending through this URL. Okay, I can block it from my path. I can block it from the query string. So let's uncheck these just because I want to keep this clean. And of course, to add to that, what if I had APIs connecting to my database? Well, please do not be sending me any kind of attack. Okay, and that's what this is. So let's look at a quick example. If I do IP range, now I know if I click here and say, what is my IP? this will tell me the IP address of my local system here. So we'll go over here and I'm going to say we want to forbid this IP from getting to this URL. So I'm going to save it. It's done. If we go here, this is our data. So if I hit refresh, now I am banned from seeing this data. That's pretty cool because it was really that simple to set up. I may want to put a list of IPs if I want to. I just add more based off of this because we can do it over here. Now, with saying that, let's go ahead and delete this just to prove the point. Go back over here, hit refresh. And there, now I am no longer banned, which I like that word. I'm no longer banned from getting to this API. Okay. And that's pretty much how threat protection works. You really want to use it to protect, just vicious attacks going through your API. And it's using ApiStrong. It really is that simple to set up. Now there is a global way of doing it. Whenever you go to administration, we click alert policy. Oh, no, I'm sorry. What's wrong with me? You click threat protection, and this will set it up at a global domain level. Okay. So that way you don't have to do every IP. You can just do every API. You can do the whole thing. Oh, too many clicks. Let's close that. That was the documentation, by the way. And let's close that. Now, let's talk about some of the other features that you get out of the box. Now, you get a pretty nice dashboard. I got my recent runs. Okay, these are here. There's my people. I got a 200. We show you the status. Now, this is a good picture because this one was ran by the scheduler. This one was ran manually through threat protection. Okay, through that API that we saw. We didn't use the portal to run it. And this one, we used the portal to run it manually. My total hits, my total success, 90 fails, total usage. These are my failed runs. Now we're going to show those in a few minutes. So just ignore this for now, but I can click on this. Well, you know what? Let's just go from here because I can also do it from the history that we talked about over here. If I click on people and if we click on history, I can see the data here. I want to see more about this one. If I click on it, I get my statistics. I can change how back I want to see it. I can also click here. There's not a lot to it. That's why I was hoping there's more data, but there's not. If I click on my results, I can see that I got 3 that were read manually, 1 that was ran through here. When I say run through here, like just click, right? Clicking that will run it again if I want to. I can see my alerts that fired off, okay? So one of these that have better alerts. Let's see. Let me just look. Yeah, this one does. So here I've got some policies that fired off. This one, 17 hits, right, of a 401. Okay, and then when I click on threat protection, I can see that this weird person here named Tim Higgins that's talking to you right now keeps trying to hit this portal. And if that's the case, we may have to take action. So that's really that simple. Okay, and of course it would tell you right here, it tells me IP range. It would tell you which threat protection was that they blocked. Most importantly, it does tell you their IP. It tells you they were using the portal, the API, not using the portal to access your API. There's a lot of APIs in that one sentence, you know what I'm saying? But with saying that, the good news is they were blocked. Okay. Now, if one of these was active now, this would be a check. I think it's a check. But it wouldn't be this dash blue thing. Okay. Yeah, because we deleted it, remember? But if I kept it active, then you would see IP range active. Now, with saying that, you can get through all these through going to the report. Okay. So here, if I go through the summary, my project, when we talked about the project, I can pick the API that I want to look at. Not a lot of data over here. I didn't set this one up, so I don't know what it is. So let's go back to my people. Now I can see this and I can do a date range. So if I want to go back last month, whatever, I just set this up today. So it doesn't really matter. Now here, notice we have 1 failed. So I can see that right here. And that's really good because I can bounce down. If I had more APIs like you saw on this one, then I can just go to each API if I want to. Be like, okay, what's going on with this API? Or I can go back over to my reports. They show all. And this is the view you saw a few minutes ago. Okay. Maybe I clicked on something. No, I just clicked too fast. Click happy. Now, the good news is if you are let's go ahead. The one thing I love about this is on this report, if I want, I can click here and I can actually get the data of the run at that time. So again, if I click over here, click results, view results, then I get the statistics, as we call them, or the information about that run. Now, that's good because if I hit one that failed, I can click on this. I can see that it failed, but it's a get. Gateway hit yes, which means it used the URL that we gave you. Here's the host name. So we give you enough information here to help you see kind of what happened. Now, with saying that, of course, you can filter this. I can look at my alerts. Again, the threat protection, we just talked about that. So that's kind of the reporting. You also get a dashboard that's kind of based off of that as well. I can see my faileds, and I can also go back in time on my dashboard as well. So with seeing that, APIs is a place to manage your APIs. A really great tool by itself. Okay, I can schedule tests. I can run tests. There's a lot of things I can do here. On top of that, we can also add the benefit that makes API strong. The ability to use the word strong is the fact that we also embed threat protection in with your APIs as well. Now, we give you the ability to create projects. Projects is a way just to group your APIs together. For an example, we created this data one, but if I click on being login, here's all the APIs for it. I can even go ahead and see some of the status codes based off of those. I can click on it and get more detailed information, which is what you expect here. Now, with administration, we have user management. I can invite people, you can see that in a few minutes, to be a part of my login, a part of my group, okay? Global threat protection, alert policy, which is a global level to do policies, and a way to turn off these alerts just in case something bringing down servers or something like that. We also talked about the reports. The new, of course, is API projects. Import is very nice because I can import from Postmon. So if you're used to using Postmon, but you want to start using API Strong because now you want to start adding the threat protection or something like that, then it's very easy to import those in. You just click import and drag it over. And it creates, the reason I clicked over here, it creates a project. Your collection equals a project that has a list of your APIs under. And to reverse that, if I wanted to export this out so I can import it into Postmon, then you can do the same. Now, with saying that, let's look at a few more features and then we'll hopefully wrap it up. If I look here, this is my basic user information you expect, my account, so I can change the name of my company if I need to, because you're locked into the ID, and that would help you whenever you're debugging. The owner is here, but I can invite people to be a part of my company. Okay, that's how that works. I call it a group, so think of a company as a group. If I create this, then I can invite people to do that, and anything I save, they can access. Okay, and of course, my billing, that's another topic, and this is dev, so it's not legit anyway. So then if I go down to integrations, we can also integrate with Slack. So we can let your developers know the statistics of the APIs. We also are able to generate our API keys to help you interact with other products as well. Now let's go down to this quick tour is probably one of the coolest things you're going to find handy. If I click on the API and you're watching this and you're thinking, Tim, I do not remember anything you told me. There's no way I can remember all this. Great. I can click up here and click on a quick tour, and this will highlight everything that I need to know to use this. We'll call it this page. Okay. So we'll go ahead and skip. And just in case it gets kind of confusing, whoops. I said yes, I probably shouldn't have said yes. But just in case it gets kind of confusing, you can also click on this little person down here. And this person will help you as well. Now, with saying that, I hope you find this useful. Let me show you one last thing. If we go back to the landing page itself, and if you click on Docs. So with saying this, I do hope you find this useful. I hope you find it where you want to give API a strong try and see if you can use it within your system. Just use it, right? So test your APIs, use it for your APIs. And then if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We're here to help. Thank you.